talk about the weather or whatever you like, but we should get together.
The band Famous?
The band Famous.
The band Famous.
Our first album, that's what it looks like on the App Store.
The band Famous, yeah. We communicate with each other. Yeah.
Take you for a ride. I wanna take you for a ride. Let's go for a swim. Undress my mind to caress my thoughts. Get inside. Show me what it feels like. Show me what it feels.
Hello, I am Norel with the band Famous, and I have the pleasure today to be sitting with actor Jayson Reyes. And I'm going to go ahead and pass the microphone to you, Jayson. Do you think you could tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, thank you for having me. Been in the business within like a good almost 9 years now. Been studying it for a very long time, high school all the way through the Art Institute. Been dabbling into film and television, but I'm also theater background, so it feels great to be here.
Nice. So, when did you know that you wanted to be an actor?
I would say what came around 6 years old. I stumbled across the Oscars, saw everyone winning certain awards. I thought basically coming into life you had to strive for something, and there's always a point where you can win something. Basketball, they win an NBA championship, NFL, Super Bowl, and so forth. With acting, I'm dogged into it because a lot of people want to be something in the future, rather if it's a cop, fireman, doctor, or whatever. Acting, you get to be everything you want to be for a certain amount of time, and you can move on to next and next different types of things, and you have no idea. Every time you're filming a different character of a career, you're building a resume at the same time. So that's basically kind of where it started. I just wanted to do everything, and I got inspired by so many films: martial arts, sports, drama, love. It didn't even matter to me, but I didn't notice that I was building a kind of a resume at the same time.
Very cool. So you mentioned you got into acting, well, you said when you were 6 years old is when you knew, like, oh, that's for me, that's it right there. And you said you have like over 9 years experience, so you must have accrued a lot of skills in that time. So what kind of skills do you possess that carry over and complement your acting skills, and also any new skills you've acquired due to certain roles?
It started off mostly with experience. Everyone has a background story. Whether if they were abused verbally, whether physically, sexually abused, whatever. It teaches you to balance certain emotions during the course of your life. I use experience on how to control my emotions. Some people bottle them in and they come out the wrong way. I kind of keep it like a balance, because that's how people suffer from chemically imbalanced. And while I was building that, I got into theater background. I was doing stage plays. People thought it wasn't cool until they saw me on stage, and then they were praising me, acting like I was gonna be a Hollywood star, even though I never knew that. I never knew what a Hollywood star was. I never knew anything about Walk of Fame, LA, nothing. I thought pretty much where I'm living is the only place on earth, until you broaden and you see more things out there than when you travel. Other ways, I don't know, I guess in a way you can call it following. I'll give you an example. Watching Emilio Estevez in Mighty Ducks. I watch that and I get jealous of those kids playing hockey. So I was like, I want to learn hockey. I want to learn how to skate. I'm going to learn this. I'm going to get taught. I ended up learning how to play hockey. I watch another football movie, and all of a sudden I want to play football. I was just building these techniques over and over again in school and didn't even know I was building a resume at the same time. Same thing with boxing. I was watching Rocky 3 and was mimicking every movement Sylvester Stallone was making. And I would get caught by my parents asking me, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm trying to be like Rocky. He's the Italian stallion. you're not even Italian. So like, yeah, but he moves so good. What do people call that? I'm thinking it's boxing. You're gonna be a boxer. I'm thinking that's what's gonna be the answer. No, it's like, oh, he's an actor. That's what I learned. My dad was the one who told me exactly what that is. It's like, you're acting. It's like, okay, so if I try to mimic everyone and not intimidate, but impersonate someone's actual movement in a film, that's acting? It's like, yeah, I think you should do it.
Very cool. So it sounds like your parents were supportive of your dreams from a young age. That's such a blessing. That's wonderful. So with all your experience from like a young age, throughout high school and drama and whatnot, and then beyond with the Art Institute you mentioned and other roles, so you must have a lot of interesting stories with all of that. So what was probably your most surprising experience in the entertainment business?
I would say my most surprising experience was my first project. I was booked on in 2012. Oh, actually 2011. It was released in 2012. The musical film Rock of Ages by Warner Brothers. I was able to meet certain individuals in that film that I grew up watching, like R&B soul goddess Mary J. Blige. Tom Cruise, which that was a little bit of a shell shock to me, judging by one of my favorite films from him is either Top Gun or Days of Thunder. So, and those are one of two films that I was literally mimicking. That's how I learned how to drive different type of vehicles from Days of Thunder. But the final person that really stood out to me the most, and I tell this story every time anyone wants to hear it, is when I got to meet legendary Alec Baldwin. I was literally somehow placed next to him while he's like antsy, he's waiting for his Starbucks coffee, just being him. He's hilarious. But I kind of got a little bit shaken a little bit just looking at him, because I'm looking at the man who was in Beetlejuice, The Shadow, and so forth. And I wanted to ask for the advice. This is my first deal, like when you first get in film, television, and you book your first job, that means that's where your career actually starts. So legitimately, it's 2011 for me in the film and television industry. I asked him, I just said, forget it, I ain't got nothing to lose. Mr. Baldwin, I know you hear this all the time. Do you have any advice for someone who's up and coming in this industry? They're filming out in South Florida. That's where I was raised a little bit. So he's looking at me. He looks down, looks up. It's like, so you're an actor. You probably been told you're gonna probably be the next big thing. No, actually, I've never been told that. Good. You don't need to be cocky first. You need to be humble first. Then comes cocky. But if you're looking for advice, I'm gonna tell you this one piece of advice, and it's not gonna sound like advice, but I want you to take it with a grain of salt. I'm sure everyone that you have met in this industry, whether they're famous or up and coming or whatever, they always give you advice. Do this, do that, do all of this. And I'm pretty sure you took it all in your head on what you should be doing. I'm gonna tell you this. Take all of that advice, fuck all of it. You got here literally right in front of me by listening to no one. So whatever you're doing, continue.
Wow, that must have been a pretty amazing moment for you. To basically be like, well done. He's like telling you like you're doing good, you're on the right track, like keep it up, keep doing you, is basically what he told you. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Realest person I ever met.
Wow, that is so cool. What a great piece of advice too. Like, it could have been something like, oh, do this, do that. And he's like, no, you do you. Like, respect. That's awesome. So, what was that was one of the most surprising experiences. Now, what was the most shocking experience so far?
Shocking experience. There was a time in my life where I had to quit the business due to personal reasons. I pretty much around the time I booked that job and meeting Alec Baldwin a year later, I gave birth to my little girl actually, and that was just like okay, this job, career became a dream, but it grew into, I would have to say, a goal. You know, she loves when I perform. She literally dabbled in it a little bit of it, so she doesn't understand. At the time, she didn't understand, but it was like either stay away from her and keep doing this, or you're gonna miss out on the best years. You know, you got to witness her first walk, crawl, talk. Her first word was dada. So it's not a very surprising thing that she's daddy's little girl, but I decided in 2015 I was going to quit cold turkey. My manager at the time, she didn't believe that this was the end for me for some reason. I don't know why, but she didn't. She told me that, you know what, I'm gonna keep you on this roster, and I'm only gonna submit you just in case on certain things. You go back home, be a dad, be the best man you can be, and don't worry, I'm still in your corner regardless of what. Going through 2015 and a little bit of 2016, didn't do anything.
So, what was your most shocking experience in the industry so far?
Back in 2015, I had to go away from the business, back to Florida with my family, raise my little girl. I didn't think I was supposed to be doing this anymore at the time, and I stayed away from the business. I didn't do any classes. I didn't anything, pretty much anything related to film and television or theatrics. I just concentrated on working day-to-day jobs, had my own trucking company, raising my kid, picking up, dropping off from school. And 2016 came and I had the conversation with my dad. It always comes down to my dad. My dad was not really, he was upset with me for almost a year and a half. And he never told me. He was always had this weird vibe with me. And like I finally said, Dad, I love you to death. What the fuck is your problem? And he was like, I'm disappointed in you. Now, in my world, you can be pissed off at someone, but disappointment is kind of like the highest level there is, because they're embarrassed at you as a person. So I told him, like, tell me the core of the issue. And he told me, because you quit the business that you were born to do. I was so proud of you. No one's ever told me they were proud of me of something I did. So with him, I was always like someone he never had to give advice to. Like, he had to give advice to a lot of my siblings, but with me, it's like he's trying to tell me a piece of advice, but he never could finish the sentence because I was finishing for him. So like, for an example, you can use driving as a way of thinking ahead, you know, having more than a plan B, a C, a D, a E. When you're driving, instead of waiting for the car in front of you to stop, look through their window and see the next car that's gonna stop, so you know you're about to stop. That's a way of looking ahead in life and being prepared for what's coming for you, you know? So he was giving me life lessons, but I was always finishing his sentence. So he was basically literally telling me he's disappointed in me about quitting the business. And I was like, Dad, I had to be a dad, you know? I had to be like you know? You're like the stepping point of where I need to be as a father, and I think you're the pinnacle point of it. So he's like, don't worry about that. Your kid is good. It's got 2 families that are gonna die for her if they need to. You need to do this. And I was like, okay, I'll see if I can dabble back into it. Going into late 2016, I was developing some kind of stress. It was kind of weird, dealing with a lot of issues. I was taking Vicodin basically for like certain pains. I was getting a lot of pain in my body due to the stress. And I was told in mid 2016 that because of the stress, my body was deteriorating, my organs was deteriorating. And I went from 152 pounds to 128 within 2 months. And I didn't know what was going on. I was like, I know I train in the gym. I'm mixed martial arts background, but I know I'm not that good to just drain out all the weight. So went to the doctor. I told him that I was having blood flow from my nose, my mouth, my ear. There was a time that blood was flowing out of my penis at the time, so I was like panicking. When it comes out of your dick, it's definitely something you need to tell. So he told me, do you have stress in your life? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, normal. And he tells me, yes, this means why, and all this and that. I break it down for him, the details, and he's literally telling me, within 2 years, you probably are going to be done on this planet. I'm like, wait, what? Are you telling me I got cancer or something? He's like, no, we checked. We tested you for everything. We tested you to make sure the C word was not in your future. You are cleared of all results of cancer. It's the stress, it's deteriorating your body. Do you have trouble eating? I have trouble with my appetite. Yeah, I don't have a big appetite like I used to. I can eat a large pizza. I can't even finish one slice now. It's like, it's the stress. This is what's destroying you. You need to stop. You're not gonna live past 2018 if you don't. So I panicked. I changed my entire diet, I changed my lifestyle. I was dabbling into it. I stopped the Vicodins. My old teacher by the name of Lawrence Falgo, he has a program called Actor's Venture. This is what got me into Los Angeles in the first place. They train you in improvisation, on-camera auditions, and then they bring you to Los Angeles to showcase it to agents and managers in the business. The best in the business, actually. And I did it before. That's what got me in the first place. But I asked him can I do it again? I think I can get back in this. He pretty much let me in the program. I came to LA. I did the showcase. But it came with a price. If I do that, I can't have the same manager though. I have to fire my old manager and be open for a new one. But while I'm prepping for the program, something happened and my manager, her name is Ileana Rush, she passed away last year, rest in peace to her, first woman to ever believe me in this business. She kept her word and kept submitting me, regardless of what, and sent me a video for a show that's called Chicago Justice. They're part of Chicago Fire, Chicago PD, and the executive producer is Dick Wolf for NBC Universal. I did the video, I sent it to the casting director, made the deadline. He emailed me back asking me to do it again, but in a different way. He wants to see how versatile I am. I sent it back. Once I do an audition, I never think about it again. The script is out of my head. And he basically didn't contact me again, but my manager literally told me, are you driving right now? I'm like, yes, from work. Pull over. You booked it. Cold turkey from the business. Never did anything to prep for it. And just naturally did it. Naturally did it in two different ways. It's Die Hard, pretty much in my bloodline. And I booked the role, and apparently this role was so big that they needed me to film in Chicago for an entire month. And I would be working with gentlemen like John Seta, who played the husband in the movie Selena with Jennifer Lopez, and Carl Weathers, which is weird because I was inspired by Rocky III, who Carl Weathers played Apollo Creed. Wow. So I got to meet these gentlemen all in 1 month. That was probably the most shocking thing. I did not do anything in the business for almost 2 years, and I booked my biggest project ever for the biggest distribution company, NBC Universal, in the business.
Wow. I'm still processing all of this. So basically, your father called it. You were born to do this. It's definitely that's, wow. So maybe that kind of goes into my next question, but if there's any others, feel free to pitch in. But because I feel like this, maybe I'm presuming, but that's probably one of your favorite moments. But do you have any other favorite moments or experiences besides that amazing story of how you just, boom, right back in it, like you weren't even gone, baby. Like, was there any other, like that's probably up there for one of your favorite moments so far, but are there any other favorite moments or just amazing experiences that you want to share? This is very inspiring, so thank you for sharing.
Absolutely. I think it falls into the top 3 of favorite moments, I would call it. I've never experienced Chicago before. I mean, I'm from Brooklyn, New York. It's kind of similar. You know, they have their White Castles, they have their little downtown tourist attractions like Navy Pier and so forth. I would have to say that moment being in Chicago for 3 weeks was probably the best experience in the business I've ever had. They treated me not like gold, like you're a superstar. They treated me like, you're here. We're here to watch you. We're here to protect you, make sure you're great. You know, your job is basically to just perform. You know, it's the first time I ever had to do a project where I didn't have to worry about anything else. Not wardrobe, not makeup, not hair. It's just come in and do the character that you were meant to do. You know, meeting great people. I would say it probably was my most appreciated moment and probably the happiest I ever was. I mean, everybody was proud of me. It got to debut in March of 2017. If I had to say a favorite moment, it was probably in 2018. I was told by an individual named John James. He works for NBC Universal and he works for Capitol Records. And he told me, he just met me at a regular venue. It was like, I wouldn't say venue, I would say Starbucks. He just ran into me and somehow we ended up clicking in a conversation. I don't know why. He didn't know I was an actor. I didn't know he was a songwriter plus a producer in the film and television business. So somehow we ended up talking about life and it led to business. And he's like, do you have more stuff about you? And I'm like, I mean, I'm growing as a brand. And he was like, stop waiting for you to be cast. Like, don't worry about that. A lot of people don't have imagination to see what you can do. They can see your resume, but it doesn't really, I want to say it doesn't really compute in their brain of what you can do. You know, their imagination days ended when they were probably 8, 9 years old. Yours kept going because you fill your life into this character. You transition to this guy. You could be playing a guy named Roger and no one knows who Jason is. So your job is to show them who Roger is, like a salesperson, and you nail it. And then you transition back to Jason and whatever Jason's life is. I think you should create your own material and broadcast everything you can do, whether if it's drama, whether if it's action, anything. If it's a dark film, do it. And the best way to do it is a short film. Don't do a big film. Don't do a commercial. Don't do a TV show. Do a short film. And I asked him, well, who should write it? And he's like, you write it. You have the experience to write it. You know it. So then it's going to be easy for you to show exactly what you can do. So I produced, co-direct, written, and starred in a film that I put together exclusively from Warner Brothers Studios. It's called Red Hood Behind the Black Mask. I played Red Hood / Jason Todd, who is the second Robin to Batman. First one obviously was Dick Grayson. So this is a guy who basically he has the training of Batman. Batman is probably one of the top mixed martial arts there is, and he's a vigilante, but he doesn't kill. It's his code. Mm-hmm. Jason Todd does. If he needs to, if necessary, he kills. But he kills the right people who do harm, who create crime. He's the Batman that pretty much no one ever knew. Mm-hmm. So he goes by the alias Red Hood. So I put together a cast. I worked on a deal. They all have an IMDb credit now, and it's pretty much a short film. And the music, I put in old music that I recorded 10 years ago. I knew I would save it for a rainy day, but I think it was the most important and favorite moment of mine because it showed not only I can produce, write, star in my own project. I am certified in mixed martial arts and automatics weapons training, but it showed my creativity, because that's the job. If you're a music artist, if you are an actor, your job is to create. And I feel like that was really the most favorite moment of mine.
That's incredible. So really, you kind of just showed everybody that you're so much more than an actor, but you can be anything you set your mind to, and that, you know, the sky is the limit. I mean, and not even that. So that's amazing. So we'll definitely include the links to check that out in the description, everybody. So definitely show love, because, you know, the Band Famous is also DIY, so we know how hard it is to do everything he just talked about. Like, that is a lot more than just showing up and like saying some lines you practice. Like, I mean, you're doing it, you're building it from top. It's like building a house almost. Like, you're laying the foundation, you're doing the trim, the wall, the drywall before everything, you know, the ceiling, the roofing, everything. So that's incredible. So moving forward, like, you know, we're in 2020, what would be your dream role?
I would have to. There's so many. If I had to dabble in it, there's so many projects that I grew up with. And if you can go down the list, that are projects that are just come back into light as franchises. Rather, if it's Bad Boys with Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, or if it's The Matrix with Keanu Reeves. I mean, that is kind of the dream. My top 5 favorite films is The Matrix and it's Bad Boys. So it's like, it's so weird how you got Bad Boys for Life that just came out last month, and Matrix 4, it's filming as we speak, and it's going right into a release next summer, or next spring for that matter, of 2021. These are projects I think, my favorite actor is Bruce Willis, so if they were to ever come back with a Die Hard, maybe, you know, if he's hanging up the vest or something like that. But it's more of the veterans that paved the way. You take down the list: Will Smith, Tom Cruise, not Will Smith obviously, but I would say definitely like Wesley Snipes. You know, and Blade was one of my favorite films, you know, from New Line Cinema. Oh yeah, definitely. It created, like, it was probably the first anti-villain film. You know, they go by, as far as on the record, Howard the Duck is the first Marvel film, and Blade is probably the second, but he's the first anti-hero film. You know, I think it was probably one of those. It's probably like, you know, I don't want to continue something that someone already paved the way. Like, if they was to come to me about, hey, we want to do the Scarface sequel, you know, you take over Al Pacino's and your, you know, existence, and you're the son and something like that. But it's like, they show it. If they ever offered me that, I would literally call Al Pacino, like, hey, do I have your cosign on this? Did I have your blessing? You know, you made this classic. I don't think I can top that. And if I do, I would try to match it, you know, probably create a project where I can do my own story, where everybody already started their own. I would like to start my own, you know, and if it lays to a sequel, cool, but I would like to let it live on. Like, Al Pacino has Scarface, but he also has Godfather and Carlito's Way. He let these classics speak for themselves. Johnny Depp, he spoke for Edward Scissorhands and Donnie Brasco and Pirates of the Caribbean. It's projects that literally age well, like a bottle of wine. I wanted to age well, you know, because you can win the trophies, you can win the Oscars, Golden Globes, and so forth. These are trophies that are probably going to be dusted and come apart later down the road, but your name remains. So if I can attach it to 1, 2, 3, whatever amount of projects like Will Smith does, maybe, I think that would probably be it at the end of the line.
So, is there anything that you're working on right now, like that you've been preparing for, studying for, just getting yourself ready for something that you visualize and just being prepared for that moment to manifest?
Yes, I'm in pretty much a training camp right now for possibility of either being a part of the Matrix sequel, Matrix 4, that's going to be filming soon, or possibly John Wick 4. Either one, I think training camp basically really fits the criteria for it, especially automatic weapons training. I've been in training pretty much for the last month, back in training mode, and as far as what I'm preparing for, that's brand new. For the last few years, I've been dabbling with the idea of doing a biopic for Mark Anthony, the singer, the Puerto Rican singer. So I don't think anybody's ever dabbled into his story on how he started off, how he progressed, how he rise to the occasion, how he overcame a lot of the things the media tried to bring him down, and literally touch the moment of the top of the mountain, rather if it's in his personal life, rather if it's in the music industry. It's a beautiful voice. I've been meeting with my vocal coach. I feel like I can really tell his story. I dabbled with it when I was in Miami, pitching it to a lot of people, and they thought it was great. They didn't think it was the right time a few years back, but it might be coming to that moment where everyone could appreciate his story. Everyone appreciated Selena's story that was made with Jennifer Lopez, or appreciated Tina Turner's story, with Ike, and obviously Ike Turner, who was played by Lawrence Fishburne, and Angela Bassett was playing Tina. Pretty much the list goes on of so many people that could actually appreciate this type of story of where he comes from, where he's at right now. This guy has gone through so much, and the voice didn't even go nowhere. He's still coming strong as an artist, and I feel like if I can tell his story, it can literally cement his legacy a lot more than what it already is.
Respect. I like that. That's awesome. So, this is kind of a new page, but just for anybody out there, any aspiring actor or actress who might hear this, is there any advice or guiding wisdom that you would share with them?
Basically, it's a lot of people get into the business right from the start, not humble, very cocky, want that glamour life, want that fame, but it could be very poisonous at the same time. A lot of our veterans in the past have suffered from it, and they had to overcome it. They were on a different page as far as recovery goes. I've met a lot of people who really don't like the business anymore. They used to love it, but it destroyed them as a human being, rather if they're a woman, rather if they're a man, rather if they're, a different sexual orientation, or basically transitioning. It really drags them down, where the point that they're not loving life anymore, they want to end their life, or they're just going a different direction, and I understand that. There was times I had to balance myself out, because you can be a different character over and over again, but if you forget who you are, that's called losing yourself, And I know a lot of people, when they see that term, lose yourself, they're thinking Eminem, It's like, yes, it's a great song. I love that song, but it meant more. You can basically, if you listen to his lyrics, he's literally telling you, he's defining what that is. Obviously he's basically one of the most talented MCs of all time, but he's literally telling you, rather, whatever you're doing, sports, music, film, you can lose yourself. And if you don't have that balance out in your life, you'll never find yourself again. It's sad, because there are a lot of people out there who are in the entertainment business that just end their life at a young age. They're feeling depressed. It's mental health. A lot of people are on that trend now, and it's sad because nobody was using the mental health trend before, but they're doing it for clickbait or whatever the case is. I don't think so. I think they got a term for it. They got a title for it. It's time to get help. I used to think therapy was basically not good for me. You know, I was like, oh, why am I gonna have you tell me about me when I should tell you who I am? But whatever, we'll go back and forth over and over again. I was adopted at 6 years old, and I've been dealing with therapy pretty much up and down ever since I was a kid. So I literally had to go 2.5, almost 3 years in therapy to find my balance, to find who I am, in order to give these characters more meaning. You know, anybody can know who Jayson is, but if I lose who Jayson is, then I'll never hear from him again. You know, I don't think that's the right direction anyone should be picking, you know, as far as their life goes. There is life beyond music, life beyond film, life beyond modeling and so forth, even sports. You're gonna know exactly where you need to be if you actually still keep in touch with yourself. And I feel like if they can get in tune with who they are spiritually, who they are in their heart, in their mind, because there's a difference with their mind and their heart, but it both has to be connected in order to be at one. If they can get in tune with that, they can definitely keep in track of who they are in any type of profession they're in. So my thing is, find who you are first. Be happy. You know, if you're not happy, find that happiness first before you can give the world your skill, your talent, and you're definitely going to live on and leave this earth as a legend.
I don't think I could have said that any better myself had the questions been reversed. Like, it's crazy because I asked, you know, like what you would say to aspiring actors or actresses, but that like applies to so much more than, like you said, any profession. No matter where you are in life, no matter who you want to be, where you want to be, that is some solid life advice if I ever heard it. So thank you for sharing, and that's so important to stay true to yourself and make sure that you don't lose yourself. And actually, I did want to ask you, were there any transitions that took place before you got into acting? So taking it back real quick.
Yes. Yeah, I did. Obviously I said I wanted to be an actor at 6 years old. In Florida, where I got my parents and I moved down there with my siblings, there are not much opportunities at that moment, and you have to create different atmospheres for yourself. And I'm nobody perfect, and nobody who's not been around the block. Always been around the block. Always know exactly what I've done. Troublemaker, off completely. Never been arrested, so that's a good thing. But yeah, always dabbled into a lot of things that helped me. I had to figure out ways to build the investment. No one was willing to build the investment for me. So I had 3 different ways to build money to actually create the investment to pursue my dream coming out here in film and television to Los Angeles. There was a time I was dealing in narcotics, actually, you know, selling cocaine and everything. You know, I don't want to make it like a cliche. I know there's kids out there that have done it and are probably still doing it. I don't recommend it. It did create a lot of enemies, but at the time I got out of it, it helped. It helped build money. It helped me to learn a mentality as far as hustling goes, which is another word for business. Another direction I went, I was dabbling into music. Now, a lot of people thought I was gonna be a rapper. I created 4 projects. This was not to be a rapper. This was not to be in the music business whatsoever. This was to help me understand words, understand writing, telling a story, and so forth. This is what builds writing projects in film and television. It helped also performing these songs on stage. I'm theater background in high school, so it was kind of like, you know, a walk around the park pretty much for me. As far as the third goes, I started off as backyard wrestling. It was popular at the time. Then it led to collegiate wrestling in school. Then it led to boxing. I ran out of things to do. They told me get into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, get into Olympic Judo. I started training at American Top Team in Coconut Creek, Florida. Pretty much the likes of UFC fighters are training there, like Joanna Jędrzejczyk, Junior Dos Santos, Amanda Nunes, who's double champion right now, and a Jorge Masvidal and so forth. You know, a lot of people train there. A lot of people built stars there. And I was training. I didn't know what I was training for. They told me, maybe you can learn to defend yourself, you know, or maybe you can use this as being an actor. You learn the fight business, you learn to fight, you learn how to do your own stunts. I didn't know one thing teaching me led to three, you know, rather if it was selling narcotics, music, or mixed martial arts, I'm learning multiple things just dabbling into one specific activity. But fighting was the only one that was not creating income for me until I was approached by one of my trainers. He had a training facility in his backyard. It was called Blackout Gym. And they would train you not only in mixed martial arts, not only in automatic weapons training, they'll get you certified to carry as well. They'll teach you the areas where you can carry, and they'll teach you how to clean your weapon, take apart your weapon, put it together, and everything. But they'll also get you in the circuit to fight for money. And it's illegal because they have sports gambling. You know, it's not sanctioned. You have to be sanctioned by commissions of states, rather if it's Florida, Nevada, they all have a state athletic commission, even California, for instance. Every promotion, rather if it's UFC, Bellator, One Championship, or even Ryzen, they have to be sanctioned to fight. And I was never sanctioned. I was able to pull off at least 6 fights, and nobody would bet on me because I was the smaller guy. Everybody was a little bigger than me. I was able to pull off all those wins, get money, bet on myself, and by the time I was done, I was able to build a resume even bigger. You know, I could do my own stunts, I can write my own projects, I'm trained in mixed martial arts in every aspect of it. I can do my own stunts, if I didn't say that already. I have a business mentality, and that creates a lot more ambition. So all these 3 things not only generated an income for me to get into film and television professionally at the age of 26, but it taught me a little bit more. It grew my brain. These are type of knowledge that you cannot get in school. You know, you can't even get it in college. You have to figure out a different way. And it's not a myth. Street knowledge is probably bigger than a lot of academic knowledge. And that's kind of what I learned. So I'm in the best of both worlds of academic knowledge as well as street knowledge. And that's how I was able to build into this business.
That's a lot. Wow. Oh my goodness. So, have you ever felt like, speaking with you now, you seem very balanced. You know, you're in complete control of your emotions. You know, they don't have control of you. You have control of them. Just based on all of your training over the years and life experiences and hardships, no doubt, as well, that have helped you grow stronger. But have you ever felt yourself like you've lost yourself in a role?
Yeah, actually. When I dabbled back into the business in 2017, I thought I was on top of the mountain. There are moments where everyone's gonna get that one specific role where you're thinking that's as high as they're gonna go. When I was at Chicago Justice, happy, on top of the mountain, I'm thinking nothing could beat me, I'm undefeated. And now I can head back to LA, I can continue exactly where I left off. You're not, completely. I have a new management team, I have a new agency. So it's like you had that piece of championship, and then you had to go right back to the contendership or amateur days. And when you see those moments, you're wondering, is this what I'm supposed to do? Should I quit again? Should I leave the business? This is draining me. You know, you realize you put so much money into it that you're back behind your car payments. You're back behind certain bills. Your phone gets cut off and you have to turn it on in 2 days or something like that. It literally takes away from you, because even though you're paying this to just invest in your career, all these bills keep going. They build interest. You know, it's sad, but it's real. And I always live pretty much by a certain model. It's called more hustle, no bullshit. You know, the more you hustle, the less you're gonna see the bullshit. But I lost a certain piece of me. And at the time I was getting back into it, I was dabbling into a certain situation in my personal life where I had to go in and out of court to battle for my daughter. Certain people didn't really agree with my career choice again, to get back into it actually. And it cost me about 14 months of my kid's life. Like, I did see her August 5th of 2017, but with all those battles that I had to go through in and out of court, I was able to be reunited with her September 30th of 2018, which is a day pretty much I will never forget, because it was like we never missed a day. You know, she looked a little bigger, but she ran to me. She saw me instantly running to me. And those kind of moments will really make you lose yourself. I didn't think I could lose myself. I thought I was all pretty much balanced out, but I had an anger issue. I got into anger management for 1.5 years. When that was completed, I went to psychological therapy. I had to figure out what were no more plans, because when a plan puts in place and it doesn't go to your plan, it makes you doubt, and then it makes you regret. And this is where I was in fear of, because this is how a lot of our talented vets or our talented artists, actors, they commit suicide because they lose themselves as a person, you know, and there's nothing really that can help them at that time, whether if it's people they love, people they have friends, associates, business. It's not helping them balance out. They're not happy, they're not content with where they are. So I was afraid of that. Now, I'm not afraid of death. Whatever the time comes, it's gonna happen regardless of what we do. You know, like for an example, Kobe Bryant, rest in peace, you know, blessings to Gianna, blessings to his family, you know, his wife Vanessa and the kids. You know, you never know when that time is coming, you know, and it hits you like a shockwave. So death is not my problem. My problem is my legacy. My problem is my daughter. My daughter needs to understand what Dad was doing. You know, Dad didn't come here to be a Hollywood drug addict or a Hollywood promiscuous male, you know, a playboy, you know, nothing in that nature. He came to build a foundation. He came to build a legacy. And this is what she's gonna appreciate. When the footage came back from Chicago Justice, I sat her on my lap and I let her watch it. And I asked her, do you want Dad to still do this? Do you want Dad to be on TV? She looked at me and was like, Daddy, more TV, I want you on. So like she basically held the keys to the car, and she gave me the leeway to keep doing it, you know? And my job is to build options. You know, a lot of people are forced into certain things that they don't want to do, certain jobs they don't want to do, whether it's restaurants, movie theaters, coffee shops, and they're doing that just to build time and invest into what they really love and they're passionate about. Mm-hmm. My job is to make sure I can build something that creates options for her. You know, everybody wants to hear this moment where, sweetheart, Dad got you. Phone bill paid, car bill paid. You got your job. You're gonna learn to pay your phone a little bit, and you're gonna learn to put gas in your car. But I want you to just keep your head in the books on what you want to do with your life. You know, you want to be a lawyer? Get in those books for law. You know, just concentrate on that. You know, the bills is really what drags them down. And that's most of the time they don't have the option, so they're forced to do things they don't want to do, and then they're fully depressed and lost themselves by the time they literally get into business. That they don't even know who they were before this happened. You know, that's one of my biggest fears. Losing who I am, and the point I passed away, I didn't even know who I was to begin with. So when I graduated from therapy, you know, it's weird to call it a graduation, but she was proud. Because she told me to get a notebook. I was like, all right, I want you not to write plans. She literally told me, I'll blank, fuck plans. I can't even spell plan. Is an A in there? Because I don't know what that is. I want you to write goals. Goals. Because people accomplish more goals than they do plans.
True that.
Yeah, so I wrote down all my goals and just kept doing. All right, now you did that in goals. I want you to do that in your personal life. What you want to do, boom, 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 boom. Okay, now, just as a man, what are your goals? I was like, that's not a person? No, a person is different. Those are the goals you want to go through that people associate with you. That's a person. No, for yourself. Because your whole life you've been a hero to everyone else and no one was a hero to you. You need to be a hero and save yourself now. And I want you to write the goals for you as a man. Because if you don't, you're going to lose yourself again. You're going to get a doctor that tells you got less than 2 years to live now. Not just 2. And you're not going to build a legacy. And your daughter's never going to understand what the hell you were doing in Los Angeles. So my thing is, find who you are as a person in your heart, what you want to do in your goal. In January 1st, 2020, I saw the goals. They came to me like a bolt of lightning looking at fireworks at Universal Studios. It was very weird, but I couldn't blink. I smiled. I totally forgot what the hell I was even doing there to begin with, and I was like, I got it. It was like going like with Back to the Future with Dr. Emmett Brown. Like, I got it. I exactly found the key to time travel, the flux capacitor. And that's kind of how I was able to find myself again. I found my smile. Since January 1st, it's been a while, it's been a few years, but I found myself and I've been happy. And I've been only connected with people with great energy, positive energy. And I don't think I'm losing myself this year again.
That's good. I'm glad that you found yourself, and I thank you for sharing your story, because I think a lot of people will be able to relate in some way, and just knowing that, I mean, I can't even believe, what you said, going to the doctor, and like you were having like stress was basically destroying you, and then being able to just take control of everything and pull yourself and like just grab strength from everything that you were feeling the pressure from before, and instead of like feeling like it was tearing you apart, you were kind of polishing yourself like a diamond in the rough. So that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. So how, I think you already answered this, like how do you find yourself from there? Like when you lose yourself, how do you find yourself again? You definitely answered that, so wow. Is there anything else that you would like to share, or please share? So how do, sorry, I was almost repeating a past question, we're good, okay. How do people keep in touch with all of your creative projects? What's the best way for them to stay updated with what you're working on, projects in development, kind of any behind the scenes footage you want to share with them, like any goods? How do people stay up to date with everything that you're working on?
Pretty much I put pretty much all my projects on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. On Facebook is obviously facebook.com/Jayson Reyes. On Instagram and Twitter, I'm at only one Reyes. Instagram is only_1_Reyes, and Twitter is only one Reyes. YouTube, you can find me at Jayson Reyes. I have the Red Hood Behind the Black Mask project called Rico. Pretty much everything that's coming up soon. We're going to be getting into definitely Deputy. That's going to be part of Fox. That's going to be coming out real soon too.
Sorry, I'm going to do that one more time. I just realized I didn't do anything that you asked. I was supposed to ask that looking in the camera. So one more time. What's the best way for people to stay updated with everything that you're working on? So creative projects in development right now and those yet to come, behind the scenes, all that good stuff. What's the best way for people to stay up to date with all of your creative projects?
You just go onto my Facebook page, facebook.com/Jayson Reyes, Instagram only _1 Reyes, and Twitter only 1 Reyes. YouTube, you'll find me on Jayson Reyes. I have the Red Hood Behind the Black Mask project, and we're going to be filming Deputy. That's on Fox, coming this spring.
Awesome, that's so cool. And you guys, again, check the description of the video because all those links that he mentioned, we will put down there to save you the time of typing it in. Just click that link, go over, show some love, like his Facebook page, follow him on Twitter, Instagram, subscribe on YouTube, and definitely check out all the projects, the Red Hood and Deputy on Fox coming out. And just thank you so much for sharing so much of just your experience, your wisdom, and just sharing yourself with the world. Thank you, Jayson.
Appreciate it, guys. Love.